Hello and welcome to Africa Today. I am Esther Mokwariola. In a continent where democratic process is a regular event, the people file out to decide, ruling party shows up to win, and the opposition takes position on a playing field that is often far from even. 3 weeks from now, we'll see Rwandans head to the poll for a third general election in more than 20 years, an opportunity for the country to prove how well it has achieved political maturity. And so we ask, what are your thoughts on the build-up to the election coming up in Rwanda next month? You can join the conversation and share your thoughts with us on Twitter at TVC Connect. A report now to launch the program, and Africa Today will be right back. Stay with us.
At least 8 people have been killed in a multiple suicide bombing in Maiduguri, Borno State on Monday morning. In one of the attacks, a female suicide bomber detonated her explosives at a mosque, killing worshippers who had come to pray. The head of the Borno State Emergency Management Agency, Ahmed Satumi, confirmed the blast, which occurred at the London Siki area of the capital. It is the second time in a week that 4 female suicide bombers have sought to cause carnage in Maiduguri. At least 1 person has been killed and dozens injured in clashes between police and residents of a Nile island in Cairo when security forces attempted to demolish illegal buildings at Al-Warak Island. At least 37 policemen and 19 residents were injured in the clashes. In May, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi began a campaign to demolish thousands of buildings that were alleged to have been illegally built on state-owned islands. More than 30 people are missing after a boat belonging to an elite Cameroonian military unit sank off the coast on Sunday. In a government statement, the logistics boat belonging to the Rapid Intervention Brigade, which fought the so-called terrorist group Boko Haram, was carrying 37 people when it capsized. 3 soldiers were rescued, but 34 passengers are still unaccounted for. The accident at the northern end of the coast, near the village of Debunsha, is believed to have been caused by rough waters, but investigations are underway to learn more. At least 8 people were killed on Saturday in a stampede in a soccer stadium in the Senegalese capital, Dakar, during a football match between 2 local teams. According to Sports Minister Mataba, a fight broke out between fans of rivals US Ouakam and Stade de Mbo at the Demba Diop Stadium, and police fired tear gas to break it up. The resulting confusion triggered the stampede. Senegal on Sunday suspended all sports and cultural events until elections at the end of the month, a day after 8 people died in a football stadium disaster. Legislative elections are due on July 30 and tensions are running high.
In the last 2 decades, Africa has witnessed regular democratic processes where elections are often free but largely unfair, peaceful but rarely credible. Political developments in Rwanda paints a familiar picture of made-in-Africa democracy where campaigns are ongoing but outcome is believed to be a foregone conclusion. Joining me in the studio on Africa Today, I have Daniel Akinlami, political analyst in Nigeria. Good to have you here on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And on Skype, I have Claudia Duke, Executive Director of the African Great Lakes Action Network, a Rwandan genocide survivor based in the United States. Good to have you as well on the program. Well, we get to hear him as course of the program continues. Well, let's begin with you now, Daniel. What do you make of the developments unfolding, even as Paul Kagame seems so sure of winning the polls?
Well, I think the Rwanda situation is a peculiar one in recent time. The reason being that this president that has a mix of experience within the rebel wars, and he has also been able to bring some level of development to the country that almost everybody in the street of Rwanda have turned into hero. So to a large extent, to many observers of politics in Africa, he has exhibited the same trend of a sit-tight leader. Or to say a dictator so to say, that succeeded in suppressing opposition, reduce freedom of expression, and what have you. He had a total control over the country. But the twist in Paul Kagame's case is the fact that he has brought development to the people. And this made it a bit difficult, you know, to place him among the so-called Sittite leaders and to really put him where he should belong. But as it is now, the election is coming. Most people are even saying this election is more like an unofficial installation because you can't feel the opposition. Even the new set of people that are coming out to challenge this time around, they don't even have a base. And if you talk to many people from Rwanda right now, especially those in the country, they are all saying that they are happy with the man. So that's why, to look at this case, we need to actually go back to the genesis. When he started the rebel movement, when he came from Uganda to come and fight in the civil war, where he was able to entrench himself, and he got involved in the political leadership, and even when he was the vice president, he was the commander-in-chief. He was like the de facto leader. Yes, so he has now mastered the politics of Rwanda to the extent that he could wield the power with the influence he has on the populace.
All right, let's quickly bring in Claudia Duke now, who joins me now via Skype. Claude, rather, how do you view the style of leadership exhibited by Paul Kagame?
So let me start off with just sharing this. I was listening to a story yesterday that about three friends, an African, a French, and an American, who were talking about how efficient their elections were. The French said we get the results the same day, but we elect in the morning. And the American said we're better because, you know, we elect in the afternoon and we get the results that night. And the African said we're even better because when we go to the polls, we have the results already. So what's happening in Rwanda is a foregone conclusion. We've got Paul Kagame running with a hand-picked opposition. Anyone that had a chance to beat him this time has been, especially Diane Vigara, has been sidelined and pushed out of the election process. The last time he had an election, two of the main opponents were put in jail. Another woman, Victoire Ingabire, is serving 15 years. And the style of leadership is it's not suitable to long-term sustainability because...
Why? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Because what we've had in Rwanda, this is a cycle, this is a repeated cycle. Prior to Kagame, the government that we had was also touted as a great developmental government. It was known, Rwanda was known as the Switzerland of Africa. And this government did not allow rights, people to speak freely. The president was always running by himself, re-elected multiple times. And we ended up in a war, a 4-year war that turned into a genocide. And the genocide took over 1 million people, and another 2 million people fled the country. And that's what we rebuilt from. And even going back further than that, when we had a monarchy, it was the same. It's always the same ending. This type of leadership always leads Rwanda to a violent end to that. Rwanda has never been a country that's not known for being well developed. In the region, it's always been praised as the most developed, the most progressive country. And so I think it's dangerous for Rwanda. It's dangerous to have a president that basically wants to be a president for 40 years. He has authorization now to be president for 40 years. And he's already announced that the winner of the election is known. So I just think that Rwanda is due for a change in leadership. There are a lot of bright, smart people in Rwanda that can lead Rwanda to the next level.
Yeah, that's the question now. That's the question, Claude. Do you think the people are ready for a change in leadership, knowing that Paul Kagame has been a stabilizing force in the country since the genocide?
Yes, people are ready for change, as you can see already inside of the country with the current movement of opponents asking for more rights, which Rwanda is a very closed society. People do not have the freedoms to speak freely, to act freely, to move freely. You have to abide by the government. What's happening now, for example, people are earning income and are being, they're almost, I would say, extorted by the ruling party, because the ruling party has made it mandatory for every person that's employed to contribute to the ruling party, whether you belong to that party or not. I also think that Rwanda has matured enough away from the genocide to where now we can move on into a democratic society. Stability is not a sign of lasting peace.
All right.
It's just kind of a quiet for before the storm, if we look at Rwanda in historical terms. And I think it's important also looking at the referendum. How did Kagame achieve being on the ballot? Because this is supposed to be his last term. He's supposed to hand over power. But he staged a referendum that was, it was rushed. It was done within a week. People did not even have time to understand what was the referendum about.
But perhaps they were satisfied with the man that is in question here. Well, let me just hold your thoughts now for now, Claude. We need to go on a very quick break. You're watching Africa Today, and we have been looking at the build-up to the election coming up in Rwanda next month. Stay with us here for more discussions after this. Welcome back. In 2015, a referendum approved constitutional amendments that allow incumbent President Paul Kagame to run for a third term in office in 2017, as well as shortening presidential terms from 7 to 5 years. Although the latter change would not come into effect until 2024, and this might allow Kagame remain in office until 2034. Well, now, Claude, I understand you're having some positions on this matter, but let me quickly get Daniel Akinlami's position too, because from what he said so far, it's like he doesn't believe that Paul Kagame should be the one, coming back to office, and he still believes that Rwandans are matured enough for, a democratic move, so to speak. But is that the reality on ground? Is that what the people think? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the issue is quite straightforward. Many of the people outside Rwanda, their citizens, they share the same opinion with him. They see that what's going on is more like an individual that has now become the institution by himself, become the country. So many of them share this opinion that it's time for Kagame to go. They've been mobilizing. But if you go to the country, this guy commands
some respect.
A big respect. And he has followers. So he has got the influence on the country. So it will take some years of consistency on the part of the opposition to really rally together to get a figure, an individual that can break through Kagame's built base, that can begin to offer alternative leadership. So because right now there's no alternative leadership. Why his case is quite difficult for people to really break down in the context of previous dictatorship in Africa is the fact the people in Rwanda claimed he has brought development. And what is democracy? The government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Yeah. So if the people say they want him, if the people are praising him and they've turned him to be their hero, that he has built the institutions, he is the father figure, like, the best leader they've had in recent time. So it will take someone that has something far bigger, an alternative leadership that will endure, that will be able to open their eyes to know that democracy should not be a one-man affair, should not be one-man show.
But talking about the one-man show, don't you think that there is a legitimate concern now that this might give room for dictatorship, knowing that he's going to have to be in rule for close to 30 years.
It's already showing the signs of dictatorship. You can see the manner and the way he has been able to suppress the opposition parties. Even the previous election 7 years ago, the opposition candidates were totally frustrated after the race. Even the same Diana, they brought scandals and different things to frustrate her. She was even the one close to competing with him. So as it is now, his undoing is going to be the same dictatorship style. This authoritarian approach that he has been able to suppress the institution, there's no freedom of speech, even the opposition party could not thrive. So that's going to be his undoing at the end. Because a time will come, similar to what happened in Libya. Muammar Gaddafi provided development, provided facilities, good amenities, and so many things, and the people felt good, felt great. But they were so they were so
disorganized,
organized at some point that they felt the country cannot continue to be one man's business. The country cannot continue to be a whole family's business. And they started speaking. And people outside Libya too joined the forces together until they pulled Gaddafi down. So the same thing may end up coming to Rwanda. If Kagame cannot sit down to groom successors, if he fails to groom successors, he's going to lose these gains. This impact he has made in the past 23 years is going to lose it.
All right, let's quickly bring in Claudia Duke. Claude, I believe you just heard Daniel's position on this matter, but what do you think are the opportunities for the opposition parties now when they have a tough situation on hand, knowing that Paul Kagame might come back to power very soon?
The question is, what opportunities does the opposition have?
Yes.
Right now, I think it's to just show the rest of the world what an authoritarian regime it is. At this point, it's difficult to change leadership in Rwanda because the democratic process is proving to be impossible with Paul Kagame determined to remain in power today. So I think that now what needs to happen in terms of what the opposition does in Rwanda is to, one, make sure that the global community understands, what is really happening in Rwanda, because most of what you see about Rwanda outside of the country is that this is a miracle country that everyone should be emulating, which if you had a chance to read a recent Economist article, it says Africa should not follow that example because of the repression. I think the opposition needs to continue to educate the people inside of Rwanda and continue to let them know that, a squeaky wheel gets the oil. The people need to raise their voices, and they need to start refusing to fall into the trap, to fall for some of the tactics that the regime uses. One is fear. So I'll give you an example. This past Saturday, people were being transported to the stadium where there was a rally for the election for Paul Kagame, for the RPF. The taxi drivers were asked to transport people, and when they asked to get paid, they were told that you're not getting paid because the security that you have and your ability to work is thanks to the RPF, the ruling party in Rwanda. So people are having to work for free for the ruling party. And, working for free, that is normally known as slavery. So people will have to resist and refuse to do this kind of work. The other is when people get paid, they're asking, and this is not just in government services, this is in the private sector. They're asking their bosses to withhold some of their funds to fund the ruling party, the RPF. There are forms out for people to fill out
to contribute their money. This is not willingly. The people do not want to pay this money, but they're doing it. And
all right.
I think...
all right, Claude, let me quickly come in here. But what if the people of Rwanda aren't ready for modern-day democracy, knowing that they had gone to the polls, they had chosen this referendum that has seen Paul Kagame having to, well, have an extended rule? Do you think the people are ready to embrace modern-day democracy?
I think they are, but if they're not, let them make the choice freely, right? Without any kind of coercion, without any force, without a push by the government and the ruling party. Let the people make the decision on their own versus the government telling them this is what needs to happen. And if that is the choice that the people make, that is democratic enough. I mean, if they're not ready for modern-day democracy and they make the choice openly and freely without fear, which, again, this has been well documented, even in the previous Amnesty International report that shows that there's a climate of fear. People are afraid because of the consequences.
All right, but Claude, is it wrong now, because in this country that we have, you know, a history of genocide, is it wrong for them to, well, have this person that they feel that will stabilize their country, knowing that the people are really concerned about their future? Because you have countries that have had leaders that have ruled for a very long time. So Rwanda shouldn't be anything different, don't you think?
I think if that's what the people choose, it's actually not wrong. However, that isn't the choice, because the choice is not being made freely. You know, and that's all I'm saying. If the people choose it and they choose it freely, that is totally okay. However, we understand Rwanda has gone through a horrific genocide, which I survived. And I know that the people are complaining today. There is a famine in the country. There's no guarantee that they're going to make it tomorrow anyway. 150,000 people are threatened by famine in Rwanda. A report just came out last week showing that 30 people have been summarily shot extrajudicially, and this is happening. So I'm not sure how you can worry about your future when you're not even sure that, one, you're going to eat tomorrow, and two, that your safety is guaranteed, and you have institutions that will make sure that you get, if it's warranted, that you get due process, instead of, again, the 30 people reported by Human Rights Watch with their pictures and locations who are being shot for petty crimes, for example. The street vendors are being kicked out of the street from selling. I just don't think that the people are worried about their development as much as they're worried about their safety under the current regime.
All right, now Claudia Duke, Executive Director of African Great Lakes Action Network, and also a Rwandan genocide survivor based in the United States. We'd like to thank you very much for analysis on the program. And well, let's wrap up the show with you, Daniel. What is the future of politics in Rwanda and Africa in general? Well,
I think the future of politics in Rwanda is not difficult to read. As it is now, according to Claude, people need to start looking for the alternative leadership to what Kagame has brought. And people like Claude too need to come back home to contribute to this alternative leadership.
Right.
Kagame, as it is now, will get this 7 years. Yeah. But what happens in 2024? That's what the people need to start working for. It will take a coalition of movements to stop Kagame in 2024. And if that movement does not start now, it's going to be difficult. Because this is a former rebel leader. This is a man that has been entrenched in the politics of Rwanda for the past 23 years. Since 1994, he has been the commander-in-chief, controlled the economy,
in the corridors of power, so to speak.
The army, yes. He even waged war in DRC twice. He went from Rwanda to remove Mobutu Sese Seko. And it took another time, 2 years after, to go inside DRC
He's very conversant with the terrain of politics.
So he's so entrenched. You cannot say you're going to remove him by military action. So the people need to organize themselves. They need to form movements and form a coalition ahead of the next 7 years.
All right, let's wrap it up for now. Thanks a lot, Daniel Akilami, political analyst. We'd like to thank you very much again for your analysis on the show. Now, elections in recent years have turned out to be a litmus test for African politics, exposing electoral flaws and highlighting the need for good governance and political tolerance. Rising from the depths of conflict to attaining great heights of development, Rwanda will take the spotlight at the ballot in the coming weeks when the world will be watching with keen interest. And that is our package for today. But don't forget to join the conversation as usual on Twitter at TVC Connect. And also follow me for updates around Africa at Esther TVC News. Until the next one, I am Esther Mokwariola. Bye for now.